So I thought I'd show setting up my game table for my weekly Wednesday D&D session. And this is a pretty shallow table, so I always put like this little canvas stretcher part, like this old canvas stretcher part on there, just to give it something to grab onto, because it's like a screw-in type thing. That's weird noise. Okay, so that's what this looks like. It's like a camera jig. And I'm just going to grab my top-down camera. So it just looks like this. It attaches to the top and it swings both left and right. I can lift it up to show like the length of the table and the like, if I need players to see past this point and to the back. I'm just going to put these away. I also have a HD extension cord, USB extension cord, that I need to use to attach the camera to my laptop. So I usually just hang this over the edge and use a claw clip until I need it. Because sometimes we use theater of the mind versus using an actual camera. Like I kind of intro it using theater of the mind. But so I'm just going to put you down at that angle while I grab the current map that my players are playing on back to each other, because they are separated currently. So I'm using this is a Pathfinder flip mat. Love these things. I have so many of them. It's a nice, it's already got the graph on there, the 1-inch graph on there, and really nice. And then it's a flip mat, so there's like another scene of forest and ice and the like. Actually, the flip side, this side, is what I utilize when I run my Honey Heist Christmas Spectacular, which is another tabletop game, essentially. I'm just going to set you back down while I grab other things from my... Alexa, stop! Why does she always go off when I'm recording? Alright. So I use a couple things for pedestals and the like. Like I'll use stands like this, little acrylic stands that are just plexiglass that's been heated and bent into a position. So I'll use these more often than these. These I use for like ships and vehicles and the like. But I always have them out just in case I need them. And I usually store all my extra bits on this side of the table. Okay. I also utilize things like this, which are actual Wilton cake stands. And then I grab like a stand like that, and then, but I always do, we do 1 inch, like 1 square is 10 feet, not 5 feet, in our combat situations. When we're out of combat, we're a little loosey-goosey with distance, you know, because we just don't want to spend our turns out of initiative moving like 3 or 4 squares at a time. So we're a little bit more, you know, loose with the rules. So I also have these Axe and Shield Combat Riser Deluxe set. Highly recommend it. It's a really nice riser, and it has the graph on it, so you don't have to guesstimate distance and the like. Things we utilize a lot. Let's grab this. Are these condition rings. Some of them are WizKids, some of them are other. These are like baddie numerals, which if you have more than one baddie on the battle map, putting rings around, numbering them. This is 1 through 30. I also have spell condition rings from Viridian Games. And although these are supposed to be used for baddies, I'll utilize them to keep track of when a player casts a spell that lasts a minute. I do a countdown from 10 to 1, because that's how many rounds they get. So that's how we keep track of. If there's multiple people that have cast 1 minute spells, I'll use D10s up on my initiative tracker, but to a spin down, like a countdown. But for the most part, we use those. For dancing lights and other spell effects that you move, spiritual weapon, things like that, I use these little meeples that I got off of eBay. And for any spell casting that I need multiples of, that I only have so many of the condition rings, I use juice bottle rings that I've pulled off of. Most of them came off Bolt House Farms, because they have the most varied of color that is coordinating. So I use those. Okay. Only other thing that I'm expecting to be utilized tonight are probably these spell effects. This is Wall of Fire and Wall of Ice. But I generally get an idea of what my players utilize the most, and try and prepare for that, just in case they use those spells. So I have everything at the ready. But technically, I have everything within reach. So if there's something I forget, I just reach in and grab it and put it on the table. So I also made these out of bases I poured out of resin, and used those pizza, the pizza box thing that keeps the lid from touching the cheese. Just crazy glued them together and made little pedestals for if someone casts fly on themselves and the like. Okay. So this is my Sunday game, and this is tonight. This is the adventure we're playing, and then this is my dice tray and some notes. Some of these notes are going to go on my DM screen. But right now, we're going to pick out our player miniatures. So this is our resident paladin, Radovan. He is a bronze dragonborn. Very cool. Painted these myself. Okay, we've got Dawn Harpy here. White Owlin. Raised by harpies. We've got our resident, that's our rogue, our resident bard, Lady Victoria, a golden gift, the golden gift goddess, if you will, and I'm sure she would approve of that title. This is her familiar, an astral being, who's got a thick Long Island accent. When she plays. This is Bela, her shark dog, essentially. This is our resident druid, Kaya, a lilac-skinned, red-headed, fiery mermaid. Instead of being like ice and water, she's a wildfire druid. And this is her elemental spirit, Nova, the fire cat, who her flaming seed is a hairball. We also have our resident ship's mage, Leo, tiefling wizard, and his, where is he? And his, not familiar pet sea otter, Ortiz, who is basically his, emotional support otter. That's what he describes it as. And then the guy who keeps everyone alive is Ungar, our dwarf. Kaya's actual familiar is a cat named Ember, who rarely makes an appearance, but I always have her out just in case. Just in case. Okay, so these are all my minis that I've painted so far, but I've got a whole pile of things that I need to get to. And there's all my guys. Currently that we utilize. There's like a bunch of snakes and sharks and stuff up here in bags. Just crates and all sorts of things. Then I've got a whole box underneath the table filled with dwarven forge walls and things I've created myself, but I'm not utilizing those tonight, so I am not pulling those things out. But yeah, so let's grab this. These are my oddball dice. Let's head over to my table. Hold on. So these are all my books. I've got, it's a whole 360 of all the extended library of all the things, but including my own. Okay, so we're gonna go up here. Now you may think, oh, that's nice. That's some nice wall art. Well, it's got two purposes, because not only is it wall art, but it's also my DM screen. As I collect all the parts, stand them up, they actually go together. They're magnetic, and they're held together with ball bearings. So I just reach into this little pot and grab these little ball bearings out. Attach them to the two spots, bring the two together, and becomes like a train DM screen. Okay. Let's just put these on here for the next part. Okay, then I just pull them off like that. But so this is artwork that I did myself. It's a paint pour and some brush work. See, just goes together. I'm gonna move this aside. That bit, okay. Never done this with one hand, so bear with me. And the last part, it's a night sky with stars. Kind of like Aurora Borealis nests all up in the back. And so then these just pop together like that. Okay, so in here, well, whether I can open this with one hand. We'll see. Remains to be seen. But here is my dice gel. Made in England. My D60. This is a skull splitter die. The D60, the D30, the D24, and where's the other one? And the D3. Nope, that's the wrong one. Where's the other D3? I mean, I did also pour that one, but those are all mine. I also usually pull out a weather die for random weather, but in this case, I think the only person who'll be affected by that is Ungar. I have a double D20 that I like to use. Okay. Put these back up on the shelf. Out of the way. Okay. All right. Oh, I also have these that I made. This is just stencil. It's like a thick. It's like a really thin plastic that you usually use to create stencils. But I created spell effect grids, and this is like old school. Before I had fun ready-made things that I ordered off Etsy and Amazon and the like. Okay. This is my dice tray for the night. I utilize these clothespins for holding like your bonus action. Holding bonus action, holding actions. So if a player decides to hold their action on their initiative tracker, I'll plop a clothespin into place. Dodge. Movement. A lot of people hold their movement. So I made 2 of those. And then you have to do legendary actions because they are in a spot where there is dragons. So they're technically in a layer like place. Just want to get them back into their initiative order as of last week. Got a layer. I usually, because legendary actions happen at the end of a player's turn, I generally space them out, rather than a thing. Unless it's in response to, then I will do them on the fly. So Radovan has this really cool feature. I was playtesting for Kobold Press some of their magical items for their Tales of the Valiant. And one of the items was animated armor. And so the crew, they had booked passage on like a very large ship and did not really have, they had a boat, but it wasn't outfit for ocean voyage. So they were on a really large ship hauler that they could have their boat on to also do upgrades while they were sailing. And these goblins brought all sorts of things that were pretty much had fallen off of trucks or were stolen. And Radovan purchased, so my plan was to have the animated armor be purchased. I figured they'll put it down in the hall, it'll come to life, and that'll be the baddie for the night, kind of a thing. It was lower levels, you know. But so Radovan purchased it, and immediately, right there on the deck of the ship, started putting it on. And all I thought was, huh, that's a creature. I'm gonna let this happen. And that's what you do when you're a GM, you figure it out. But because of that, we now have Radovan's Awaken Animated Armor. So at dawn every day, he makes a roll. If it's 1 through 25, the wearer receives the stats below as you gain an ally that can fight on its own or give you extra attacks and extra movement if you're wearing it. A roll of 26 to 50 gives the wearer false appearance when not moving. And a roll of 51 to 100, it is unfortunately just plate armor. And at the next dawn, the armor resets, so you can try again. So, I mean, it gives him extra armor anyway, no matter what. But if he rolls low enough, it's like getting a sidekick. So, which was embraced by the community during the playtest, so I'm thoroughly thrilled. So what I was saying about if someone casts a spell that is a minute or 10 minutes, I'll use these larger dice on my, like up on my shelf like that, to keep track of, like, you know, I can place it right in front of their initiative tracker to count down if it's a minute, or if it's 10 minutes, I'll use the 2 button. But I always keep my giant dice handy. And so these are the chosen dice for the night from my giant pile. Which I actually chose last week. Normally at around this time of day, I will roll my dice to see like who's rolling high and who's not, like an audition, if you will. This is what they are, where they currently are, my kind of a peek behind the scenes of where the places on the map lead. I created a homebrew thing that's been super fun. I got this book. It's a Pathfinder 2nd edition treasure vault. And what I've been doing is I created this pedestal holding a gem kind of thing in a circular wooden room. And anytime they drop, so if you go to the back of the book, it has all of these magic items or magical consumables by like a level. So what I created was Leomund's treasure vault. So you basically plunk, you know, your spells into the stone, you know, and if you do like 4th level, then I have them roll like a d12 or a d20 or a d8, depending on how many are listed here in this section. And they cast a spell, the stone takes in some of it, and one of these items pops out. Eventually, when they hit 25, like if they cast a 5th level spell that counts as 5, they hit number 5 that the stone has taken in, a gate opens that leads to Leomund's treasure, the mage's treasure, except all of the treasures are guarded by all sorts of dragons. So right now they are in a polar ice plain, and there's technically multiple white dragons of sorts in there protecting the treasure that is in this place. But they've already done this priorly before and ended up in a lava lava-filled chamber with a magma dragon, which that went awry. That went all off the rails. The cleric died for the most part until he rolled a natural 20, got 1 hit point back, and came to. But the resident mage thought it was a great idea to create a teleportation circle and not just bring him back, but the dragon too. So they brought it back into the material plane. So that was fun. The adventures of the Motley crew. Those are player specific. These are DM, monster manual, and the like, creature compendium. And this is the paperback of the adventure that we're running. So I always have that at the ready in case I need to look up something quickly that I can't find right away, because there's a lot of stuff. It's not just the tome itself, but it has the world expanded, it has magical tables, it has all of my notes from running it in the past, you know, any changes that I've made, and yeah. So I'm just going to set up my screen. Just grab all of these things. Okay. This is crew notes specifically to these players that are like probably not going to be utilized tonight, but I always have them at the ready. This is the continent which they're currently the continent which they are currently exploring, and just different things, tools that they have, things that they can make, brew, and the like, in case they have downtime and want to utilize that. Okay, stay. All right. So we've already expanded the original book. This was Nez. It was mostly abandoned. It used to be like the entire left lobe of the continent, and now most of it is in ruins and overgrown with woods, and so it's just this big. They are currently over here on the map. Most of them are in another plane, but this is where the chamber is, the circular chamber is, that they are currently exploring. And since we started playing, Nez has expanded, to not just fit their needs, but also when they meet someone new, that person has to have a place, in which they live and the like. I also, one of my homebrew things that I do is learning the spell. Because I feel like spells should not be separated by class. Yes, there are complex spells that I feel like should be like class specific. However, your average spell, if you have the ability to choose from a list and are not limited to the number of spells that you know at a time, and you have a measure of an intelligence that has a plus modifier to it, I feel like you should be able to attempt to learn a spell outside of your class. And I often homebrew spells, so like you might come across a tome that has something scratched in the margin, or a scroll, a rare scroll. And obviously those are not in the player's handbook. So it's not designated to a specific class, with a specific class in mind. They are pretty hard to learn, so there is like a challenge, but and it's an Arcana check to see if you can grasp it. If you roll under the DC, you just simply failed. But if you roll a natural 1, you actually accidentally utilize the scroll or whatever, and you're not, like, you actually cast it from reading it, but you're not able to, you know, grasp the nuance. It almost becomes like a wild, crazy, you know, ricochet moment. Okay. So this goes on this side. I'm just sort of mapping out where I want to put things. And we haven't really been utilizing the calendar that much because it's, unless, you know, until it comes to a holiday, I just sort of say, hey, you know, we did celebrate the Festival of the Sea during our gameplay, and Founders Day they actually missed because they've been underground and the like, and all over the place. But, you know, research, the DC depends on the level they are, but just different things that are important to their everyday. Everyone kind of has their own visions of what to utilize. You know, just notes to myself, dock fees and the like, because we are playing a high seas adventure. Goals. These are who has what, and these are the things that are left to be found. And they don't have anything of the key. And these are all the random treasures that they've dumped a lot of spells into this rock to try and get these random things. And I did, like, look them all up in the book to see what they look like, what they did, and that kind of thing. And then these are just things that we've started, random adventures. Our cleric is a brewer. He has brewery things, so we've got that. We've got our ship's mage is a merchant. He has merchant background, so I have roles for him should they come up. Different shops and the like. This is their airship that they bought. They bought a basic airship and souped it up, but right now it's in the shop for repairs. And these are all new places that I created that they unlocked. And that's pretty much it. And then I run everything on the Discord, and every Wednesday we play, and will be coming up on 3 years in May. But I always love the stories that you would hear of people playing a game, the same group playing for 30 years. That's how I run my weekly Wednesday session. I have to check the camera that I'm using has last week's photographs to know where everyone needs to be on the map. So I'm going to stop here and enjoy. I hope you enjoyed Vlogmas Day 18, and I'll see you tomorrow.